Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to another Thursday show. I'm joined by my intrepid co-hosts, Laura Massey, Dale Tobin, and today's spirits, guides, ancestors, the mechanics of how they work. Dale, Laura, welcome to the show. How goes it with you?
It goes well and great to be here, and what an incredible show just before our medicine journey as well to talk about spirit guides and ancestors. Hello everyone.
Hi everyone. Yeah, lovely to be here. One of my favourite subjects this is, so I shall enjoy chatting with you and everyone else in the chat. So welcome to the chat, those that have come in. And yeah, welcome to the show.
So, ancestors and spirit guides. There is plenty that lightworkers say about them. But this is not your average lightworker show, as you all well know. With that said, I am open to questions about the mechanics of spirit guides and ancestors, as my radio voice seems to not want to work today. It is crackling. So, Laura, Lady of the Ancestors, mistress of all their wisdom and knowledge.
Yes. What's the question?
Ancestors. Spirit guides.
Oh, you mean have I got a question?
Me today.
Laura.
Oh yeah, we're asking you. Okay. Yes.
No. I'm going to ask you, first of all, spirit guides.
Do please.
Spirit guides, Laura.
Say it again, Andrew. You cut out.
What are spirit guides?
Spirit guides that are those that have stepped forward from the blue road to help you on your journey. And I have, yes.
All those people going, my spirit guides don't talk to me. What's going on there?
They probably are, and you just can't hear them. Is probably what's going on. I think spirit guides try to communicate to us all the time, but we've got to get in that right place to hear them and not have any expectations. That's one of the biggest things, is to pre-think. Is that a word? Pre-think?
Yes.
No. Yeah. Is try and second guess and give to ourselves what they're going to say instead of just allowing it through. So it's being neutral. So it's taking that sacred neutral stance is really the best way for them to connect to you, in my experience.
I like what Orange Lamb just said. Is it real? No, you go first thing. It's not. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of expectation in the you go first. Okay? And a lot of people think spirit guides, you could just flip through them like a phone and find out all their wisdom and keep flipping. It don't work that way either. You just can't scroll until you find the spirit guide of your choice. Oh, this spirit guide looks awful angelic today. I'm going to communicate with this one.
and with connecting to them as well, it requires quite a high frequency. So a lot of people don't realize the amount of spiritual oomph you need to actually speak to them. It's not just your regular chat, speaking to the cat or anything like that. It's allowing yourself to go into this stream, and when you're in that stream speaking to them, it is quite high frequency. And a lot of people who don't do any work or practice want the expectation, or I want to speak to my guides. You have to start the spiritual practice, spiritual journey, spiritual hygiene. That's so important when you're doing it, because when you're in that state of speaking to them, you have to maintain it and allow it to be in the body as well. And that's something I had to go through, how I can bring more of the high frequency in my body and be comfortable with it, be comfortable with the information as well. So it does, yeah.
What do you do with the pouty light worker that says, I am high frequency, and they still don't talk?
I'd say there's something really blocking you, and you probably aren't in a high frequency state. That's just probably a martyr or the ego just speaking through you.
I'm going to quit listening to you because you don't believe in me.
I mean, you only have to listen to the voice there, don't you? The tone and the stroppiness and the attitude.
That's the exact reason they don't talk to you.
It's not going to do it, is it? I mean, you need a level of joy. You've got to have a level of joy with it as well.
Right.
And you need a level of, I'd say, being being a peacekeeper. And I remember we talked about this the other day on the phone, Andrew, when I had a stream of high frequency coming through, how important it is to be the peacekeeper and peacemaker in that moment, and allow the information and allow the conversation and the heart to be present to the remembering, and instead of kind of just in the brain or asking a shitty question just for kind of instant gratification's sake.
I've got a quick question there, because Dale said about it's not like you're speaking to the cat, but could that cat's spirit, soul, whatever, also be a spirit guide on the other side to you?
Absolutely. How many times did I talk to your dog? To Cheddar?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. How much words of wisdom would also come out? Okay. Because I was communicating with that dog, giving him a voice, allowing him to say what he wants, and training him back. Hey, if you want to get that fox, you got to hide. You got to hide in the tall grass. Okay? He eventually did it.
Yes. So, in fact, you could have an animal present in your 3D physical life that's also higher soul, is also guiding you in the unseen and from the unseen.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So another statement in the chat, like parents illustrate examples of being an adult to their children who will one day become such an example so that spirit guides can illustrate how to mature. Yeah, look at that. A smart person in the chat room. Okay. So what is the difference between an ancestor and a spirit guide?
I didn't know there really was. Surely most of the spirit guides are your ancestors anyway.
Not always. Mm-hmm. Spirit guides are bonded to you before birth. Ancestors usually get semi-bonded after birth. And not all ancestors are spirit guides. Some ancestors are just visitors.
Okay.
A spirit guide is a specific role on your particular free will journey, and to remind you how important free will is, and to use it in very specific and strategically thought out ways. Like Laura, talk about your experience with two feathers in the beginning.
Well, yes, about 10 years ago, I think I went to a local psychic lady, and she said I had a very tall Native American standing behind me, and the only way she could describe him was he had two feathers. So I just called him Two Feathers because that seemed the most natural thing to call him. And he didn't, I couldn't really connect with him much. I was very much in the light worker mode for the first few years. And then Andrew happened to mention, I think on the medicine journey, you just dropped it in a conversation that your guide was Two Feathers, or you spoke to a guide called Two Feathers. And I remember saying to you afterwards, but my guide is Two Feathers. And that, because you had said that, of course, it did give me confirmation. Now I'm further down the track, I would believe myself more. But in the early days, I needed that sort of confirmation. And then I would talk to him many times, but the real times when I was really vivid was in a dream. And I had a long chat with him, and he had an American accent, and I said, "Oh, you sound like Andrew." It wasn't Andrew's voice, but I said, "Oh, you sound like Andrew," and he said, "Where do you think he gets all this information from?" Which was hilarious. So, and I don't think I was hearing him properly in the dream, and he said, "Geez," which is not an expression I'd ever use. That sounds very American to me. He said, "Geez, we really got to clear up this communication." So one thing that really surprised me was he had an amazing sense of humour, and we did laugh about a lot of things in the dream. And that was about 18 months ago. I talked to him, but I haven't heard him as clearly as I heard him then. So it must have been what I needed at that point in my life.
Again, a spirit guide is there to help you get through a specific set of free-willed issues. And your free will is, can I use my free will to speak to spirit guides and not call myself crazy? I have full-on communication. The answer is yes. So we got a question from Paulina. Do ancestors live in other realms and spirit guides? They can live in many realms. A spirit guide is kind of like tethered to you, so no matter where you go, it's got exchanged photons with you, so a spirit guide can help you wherever you're at. And an ancestor is generally linked to the North Pole Aurora Borealis because they're an ancestor, unless they're in the South Pole, which is a future ancestor. And it is possible to be an ancestor of the past and an ancestor of the future at the same time. So they can have multiple homes and places and etc.
Can I share my story of the spirit guide,
Sure.
Andrew?
Yes.
So, because it was really funny, because the last mentorship you started talking about him was hilarious. So, I'd say probably about 8 months ago. So I speak to various different guides and the Grandmother Collective, but there was, after I did my medicine journey, the next day, all I could see was, and I can see it now as an image, is like this guy, and he's got a suit on. He's got like all dressed quite smart. And every single time I shut my eyes from the ayahuasca experience to now, I can see him. He's right there in front of me. And he had the last mentorship. And I was speaking to him because I was asking, because as I speak to the ancestors, I speak to the Grandmother Collective mostly. So I'm speaking to not just one, but the collective in at once. But this specific being was from, I think he was from the 1700s, and he owned a newspaper place. And basically, my daughter Opal now, he was the father to Opal, my daughter in this life. So he's a guide who wants to come forward and communicate to me more. So in the mentorship, I started speaking to him, and now I'm having communications with him and having to get to know him a lot more and figure out more about the ancestors, him figuring out more about me. But the beauty of it, the synchronicity, was when Andrew went into it and said he was from the 1700s. And it was Opal, my daughter, his dad in that lifetime from my lineage. So that was fucking cool. That was really, really cool.
Yes, that's how ancestral spirit guides work. They work in the mysterious ways of being ancestors.
Yes.
And they don't just have to be from your lineage either, do they? From your DNA lineage, I mean.
Your DNA general. So spirit guides are not limited to your current lineage, no.
So for an ancestor, say your father's father's fathers, say if them go back into being a baby, do they leave a shard or a part of them in the, obviously, this is, I'm kind of know the answer already. They'll leave a part of them in the North Pole as being the guide, if you get what I mean, and they can go in and be the human again, as well as being there. Yeah. So I knew
then there are times they suspend a part of themselves in the North Pole, go to the South Pole, and are born and are their own guide for a while.
Wow.
It's actually very common.
Yeah. So I have a Zen master coming through the spirit guide.
You can read it out, Dale.
So I have a Zen master coming through as a spirit guide, but something I wonder if it's another version of me in another life. Is this also valid thought?
It's probably coming to you as a spirit guide because it's trying to counsel you in something very specific itself. And I would say it's probably not another version of yourself. If it was, it wouldn't be coming off as a Zen master. It would be coming off more related to different parts of the younger you.
So when say our DNA lineage, let's just take my grandmother, for example. So when she passed on, did she leave an aspect of her in this dimension or in the astral to help me? Because I'm in communication with her like Dale is with one of his great grandparents. So,
So
and,
she didn't need to leave a part. She already had a part. As long as there's living memory, or even memory passed on. If like let's say you were only one, but you don't remember her, it's a passed on memory from the family. There's already a signature frequency there, so they wouldn't need to leave additional parts.
so they would leave additional parts.
No, they would not need to.
They would not need to leave additional parts. Okay, so well, just like us, we have an aspect of ourselves in all dimensions.
Technically, yes, but through awareness, no. And it's only when we become aware of all of our existence do we realize what technically really means.
Yeah.
Until there's awareness of it, you're not really there.
Okay, because awareness creates the actual reality.
That's why in the dragon revenue is before the time of awareness-based beings. As there was a time before awareness-based, which is what we are, awareness-based DNA instruments of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, there was something else. And before that, there was something else. And before that, there was something else. They didn't function at the awareness level.
So it's that awareness that actually creates that actual existence.
Which is why we are creating it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So
Anyway,
she would be aware that.
Simplify what you're trying to say.
Okay. She's aware that she is talking to me. It's not just an aspect of her.
She is fully aware of communicating to you and aware of communicating to you when you're unable to communicate to her. There's a continuous stream of awareness and information between you, her, your other guides, etc., because she knows the female part of the lineage and how the DNA is going to create rumbles in your world.
Oh, wow. Okay. That just takes some processing a minute.
So, Dale.
Rumbles in my world.
so they can see, because this is my experience from them, and my experience from doing the medicine journey was they literally see everything about us at all times. Like they can see fully through us, transparent, all of our remembering, all of our forgotten. And that's kind of like, I remember I had a conversation with you after, and you said it took you a while to get used to that. And I was like a bit freaked out, but not like, they literally see everything about us. You can't hide shit from them.
You can try. You can try. And most of them won't say, I know everything. Okay? It was just when I got to my realization, they're like, well, maybe we do. It doesn't really matter, does it? It does to me, the awareness of being of it. Now I have awareness. What about having a private moment?
You're saying they don't give us the privacy. Do they not ever give us any privacy?
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm trying to take a shit, man. Come on. Can I at least have this?
Trying to be intimate with somebody. You got all these eyeballs looking at you. Hey, it's not a peep show. Great grandfather. It ain't a peep show. I know you haven't been embodied in a while, but still.
So
it was I had to get over it because I had the awareness of it now. That's what I was trying to impart to you. Okay.
That's because as I saw it and they were showing me all my shit, all my forgotten, and I was like, "Holy fuck, you fucking see everything, don't you?" And like, "Yeah, we do. You can't get past us." So I was like, "Shit." And I was like, after I was like, "Holy fuck!" It took me a while to to process that.
And yeah, just reading Pauline's question is about ancestors having ideas of what we can heal for the lineage. Yeah, I think they do. They do. They know, don't they? Because if you do get tuned in and get good communication with them, you know the sort of things that have got to be healed in that lineage.
They have the cheat sheet of what's coming. Yes.
Yeah. Cheat sheet.
They do. But what is cheating in a free willed universe? Expression of free will. not cheating
Yeah,
in
it's not.
the game, but
No.
they have the cheat sheet of what's coming. And if you actually pay attention to the ancestors and the crib notes they're trying to get you before the test, okay?
Do they?
They were prophesizing something about this person, weren't they? Oh shit. Maybe I shouldn't have married them, you know?
So do they? Would they still have like precogs?
Ancestors and spirit guides work with your precogs.
Yeah, but they don't have precogs,
Yes, they do.
right? And postcogs.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so they have. They still. We maintain those once we pass over.
We become all of them simultaneously because we're not linear bound in time
Oh,
anymore.
of course, yeah. Because we go into the singularity. Yeah. Okay.
So
That's what creates the ultimate awareness, then, isn't it? That's what creates them being able to see it all.
Non-agenda, non-time-based beings, not bound in times or times of agendas.
Yeah. And neutral.
Not always. So many ancestors are more positive or negative. It happens a lot. If somebody was asking, is it possible for an ancestor to hack your channel and start doing dark spells? The answer is yes. Those are called curses. But curses are very easy to break if you have an extensive set of willpowers. And willpower comes from what inside you? The will to live and survive. And what's the whole point of a negative ancestor doing something is to take away your ability to use your will by making you think you're less than capable, by making you not have successes in your life because they throw ancestral karmas in front of you over and over, but you chose to do those ancestral karmas instead of disengage from them. Yes, you were unaware at the time, but that's also part of the journey of breaking away from ancestors, where you have to break the contracts, vows, and agreements. And you don't just do it once, you have to do it many, many, many times until the universe has heard the totality of your wisdom and saying, no, I'm not falling back to this way of disorder.
Because I come across that a lot. Well, not a lot, actually. It's fairly rare, but people with ancestrally haunting, where you can't really do anything, but it's up to them to actually break it. But it requires them to obviously step into severe self-mastery, self-illumination, and so on. But a lot of people can't break it.
That's why the curse is there. They don't want you to step into self-mastery. Okay, but that's the only way to break the curse is self-mastery.
Yes.
And that goes for anyone right now that's targeted in any way, shape, or form. Self-mastery is the journey.
Yes.
That's the instant crib note break for it all. Self-mastery. And to not become arrogant with self-mastery, but to become neutral with the journey to self-mastery.
So what's in it for them? Go on, Dale.
So do you get a lot of like ancestors? So you get different types, don't you, of technology, like I am and celestial beings. There are just many different type of beings who are spirit guides and ancestors.
Sure, I have ancestral guides that are at the celestial level. Yes,
celestial,
many.
Yeah.
And then there are times I am a guide to other celestial beings because I'm a living embodiment from this world. And they need people that are living embodiment of this world to have a truth moment for those that are not embodied, the reality of what it takes to be here.
But just like the example of the cat or cheddar spirit being also a spirit guide at the same time, so that can be a person as well. So one of us, any of us, could have a part of ourselves that's a spirit guide to somebody else manifested now on Earth.
Yes, there are times that I visit people in dreams and have no awareness of it and counseling and guiding them.
So that's akin to a spirit guide then?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's also a role I accepted as part of my multidimensional self a long, long time ago.
Oh, see, I never saw...
Sleep.
Okay. I didn't realise that was a spirit guide. I just thought that was an aspect of you visiting other people in dream time.
Taking up the role of a spirit guide for whatever reason.
Yeah. It's the role.
And Andrew, I've had dreams where I've been over like dead people, going through life reviews and stuff. And like going from one person to the next when they're dying and so on. Is that the same type of thing?
No. Life review is something about the DNA and the last breath of unraveling, in which the last spark of energy reviews what you do before you lose the totality of the I amness and become a non-agenda based being and transverse the journey and become a blue road spirit, or aspects of yourself stay here and become ghosts or haunties or reflections or just projections, because those are the parts that can't let go.
Okay. Yeah.
So when Nina says, what's the energy exchange? One of the things I exchange energy, the way I exchange energy with the ancestors or with the spirit guide is I impart my wisdom of living on Earth now for their wisdom from where they are, from their bigger picture.
Your story
my story? Yes. Is that the basic energy exchange? Is that the energy of it?
That's your dollar bills and $100 bills, and bank transfers. High level bank transfers would be something like, how do I put it? An ancestral guide getting you through the dark night of the soul. And their presence there is the exchange. You've allowed their presence during the dark night of the soul to be counsel to the dark sides within you who are experiencing the darkness. And they often become a temporary aspect of yourself, because spirit guides can do that. They don't want to always be your internal dialogue, but there are times they will come into your internal dialogue to say, hey, that voice in the back isn't real. Question it.
Wow.
Okay, so that's like not a spirit walk-in, but like a temporary presence within, actually, yes, right in your field.
Right.
So this, let's say a situation, and say if I had a wife, she died, she crossed over, can she have potentials to be my spirit guide? In marriages,
usually,
or part of it?
Usually not, because the mourning process will never be done.
Yeah. Because I remember you said that. Yeah.
Because the mourning process will never be done.
Yeah.
And the same thing with a child too.
So yeah, Amy's question: when we do Posh and Southern Belle, are we bringing through those ancestors, or parts or aspects of us coming through, or can it be both, as we find those different voices within us?
For the most part, those are not ancestors coming through. There is your raw creativity tapping into other aspects of your super creativity and creating a temporal personality of the now without creating multiple personalities.
Yes,
like I radio voice. I'm not a different Andrew. I'm radio voice, and the same thing applies to Southern Laura, Southern Belle Amy, or Posh Laura. It's you using your super creativity and your capacity to change frequency and language, but it also unhinders you, because the normal Laura and normal Amy have rules of things they would never say. And those rules don't apply to the neural pathway processes that are created for those temporal moments of the now use, the Posh or the Southern Belle. So and because you create more and more with them, you find how freeing it can be, because Laura and Amy do have things they wouldn't normally say. Okay?
Absolutely. So, but it is still another aspect of us. But is it another aspect, like temporal, in another dimension?
It's ephemeral, temporal for the now. It exists in the moment that you're doing it and then fades back. But it leaves an impression in the central nervous system, which makes it very easy to redo and redo and redo.
Okay, because, you're opening all those neural pathways. The more you practice it, the more those neural pathways are opened. Okay, yeah. How do you know when there's a walk-in present in someone?
Well, first thing first, like the myth of twin flames, walk-ins are extremely, 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 extremely rare. So 99.999% of the time when a person goes, I think I'm a walk-in, the psychic told me, they're not. They're not. There are specific signature frequencies in the change of spiritual contracts that are blatantly obvious to anyone that can read spiritual contracts, perceive the energies of them. And that is where you'll know if somebody is or is not a walk-in, within the fine print and the change over the contracts from the moment that it happened.
So the line with free will then with an ancestor and say a human, what is that line? Is a specific line of their, them crossing the free will zone, or do you know what I mean? Like breaking the rules. What's the kind of like rules with the ancestors and us of not them pushing us too far or stepping on our journey? Do each one of them have different kind of like scales for that?
No, they all have a specific purpose in your linear time, and some only have a small window of opportunity to commune to you and will use more persuasive techniques to get in to the rock-headed brain person that doesn't want to hear or misinterprets everything they say. So the level of persuasiveness is dependent on the moment in time of whatever is going through and how much the ancestor wants to put effort into it. And they have to look, does the effort mean anything? If the effort doesn't mean anything to the ancestor, they will go away and come back in another window of time.
And that's what I've figured out. It's like obviously going through the states of remembering, the more you remember of who you are, the more they have access to come in and speak to you.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the easiest, what would be the best method from their point of view to communicate, assuming, or does it vary from each individual?
It varies from each individual, depending on what their particular issues or quirks or whatever's going on in the reality. I want to answer this question from the big picture. Mm-hmm. Andrew, what if you're at a point where you can't use direct willpower to fight a bad ancestor? Well, then you've already given up and there's no point in going any further. You always can use willpower. That's the whole point of willpower. It is to be used at the darkest of times and the most minimal strength, to expand your ability to go beyond your minimalism. As for methods, engaging willpower comes in an infinite amount of ways. Get angry at it. Okay? If it sapped you of willpower, it sapped you of your ability to use it. That doesn't mean it's not there. They've confused you in such a way that you think you have no power. You always have power in every moment of every time. And the next time that thing wants to say something, this is where you got to get angry with it. Put its head in the toilet, humiliate it, start doing things to it until it leaves. Who remembers the golden brick and the purse story?
Can't forget that one. Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For those of you that weren't around, a lady had called in and she was dealing with all sorts of things getting into her field. And I said, all right, I want you to take this golden brick and put it inside this Gucci purse. And the next time something comes into your frequency, swing the purse and hit it in the head. Come on, keep going. It's coming. It kept going and going and making her do the golden brick and the Gucci purse until she whacked everything in her reality with that golden brick and a Gucci purse. Mm-hmm. And that's what it took for her to gain the ability to use willpower again. But she directed it as anger that wasn't vengeance.
It's a very useful tool.
We have another one. My father died 3 days before my daughter was born, and she had a deep feeling of missing him. Is this because they have an ancestral connection? Yes, absolutely. Okay? She probably counseled him on the way out, and then he counseled her during her growth times. That's what happens when there's a death and a birth so close.
Will spirit guides have like direct communication with your ancestors as well? So can they exchange information for our better, for our good?
Between ancestors themselves?
Between spirit guides and ancestors.
Oh, they will often trade information to what works best on them, yes. Compare notes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, big picture again, you're right, I have given up. I was under the impression I tried everything to my maximum extent, not sure how to get back started up. I already told you, get angry. Grab a Gucci purse, put a golden brick in it, and next time this thing comes around, hit it in the head. Watch its head smash to the ground, piss on it, take a shit on it, grab it up, put it inside the purse, lock it up. There's so many things you can start to do when you just be angry with it.
Stick something up its ass as well.
Angry without vengeance is the key.
Stick your hand up his ass and start playing Muppet out of his mouth.
Yeah.
You are my bitch.
So we have another question from the Rumble chat. How about guides? How many do you have at one time, and do they change depending on what you're working with? The answer is you can have between 5 and 10 guides at any moment in time. You can have thousands of guides at any moment in time, and they absolutely do change during phases of your life. And if you ignore a specific guide for long enough, it will just go away for the rest of your life. Because it had a very narrow window to work with you.
Is that something that's planned? Is that part of the plan coming in, that you will not always hear all your spirit guides?
No, that's free will.
That's, of course, that's the free will
That's the
aspect,
free will.
isn't it? Yeah.
That's free will. Yeah. Ignorant use of free will is still ignorant use of free will.
So when we come to crossing over from the red road to the blue road, is there Pacific ancestors which usually come when we die before always come back, or
Yes.
is it
They
different ones each time?
They've been preordained before you were have your first breath. What ancestors will wait for you on the other side?
Okay.
So also an aspect of ourselves. Well, they are aspects of ourselves, but I mean, an aspect of ourselves could be waiting for us too on the other side.
Mm-hmm. And then as you go through your life review and begin to take up citizenship in an ancestral realm or an astral realm, depending on the nature of the death, different ancestors will come and help solidify their journey of letting go of the I am. The whole point of death is to let go of I am and no longer be an I am being of awareness. You're an infinite being of awareness, not limited to a body anymore. And you have to go through the journey of exploring that and realizing how much more expansive free will is when you're not a time-based agenda being.
So to get this absolutely right, so the astral world is where you go when you pass over, and then when you become an ancestor, you go to the ancestral realm, either in the North or South Pole or Borealis, yeah?
Say that again, you broke up.
So when you pass over, you go to the astral realm, and then when you become an ancestor, you go to either the North Pole. No. How does it work? What are the...
Every death is different. So some go up to the astral realm, some stay in the in-between realms here, and the ancestors have to venture forward that which is the white light that people see.
Mm-hmm.
That the ancestors projecting the light and then walking through the tunnel and seeing if they'll come to the light or not. They're in that in-between place.
So that's where ghosts are. That's where we would call ghosts. Yeah. Okay, so what's the... How would you describe the ancestral realm then? So you get the in-between place, and then you get the astral.
So once you've made it to the ancestral realm, the majority of your life review is done. Whatever limited parts are left are about retaining individuality. You're no longer an individual in an astral realm. You're a collective of the ancestors. Yes, you have individual rights, duties, and responsibilities when that part is called upon, but you're back to the collective part of the soul. And there are many souls in an astral realm that have many thousands of previous selves. And what the soul does is allow the many thousands of previous selves to coexist throughout the astral realms so that there's a community feeling. But they're still all interconnected. So there can be a you from 1715, a you from 22,000 years ago, a you from here, a you from there, a you from here, and a you from there. They're all yous, but they were individual yous in linear time. And they have a specific point of view about the individual who lived in that linear time, who can be a specific teacher on the subject matter that they went through during that time, for a future self who is planning. Or the baby, the fetus in the womb, will call on a variety of selves in that communal self to guide them in the type of life that they want to plan.
Okay, and then they bring all that wisdom with them when they're when parts of them are in the ancestral realm. So it can all be shared. So when ancestors are guides or their spirit guides, all that information from all the other parts is helping us on our journey now.
Yes. And the last part of life review is when there's no I am and no individual self as a unique spark. You've reassimilated into the whole. You're a singularity, again, no longer a duality, living the singularity life, or the singularity living the duality. The duality is permanently ended.
So usually when somebody crosses over, do they usually go into, like, you called it a triage system, or do they go into like a recovery place? Does it take a while for them to recover from? Yes,
and that's what Astral Realms. Astral Realms are recovery places.
Okay, yeah.
Like let's say you have somebody that's in the ICU of recovery. They're going to probably stay on the edge of an astral realm, maybe not an astral city, like an astral hospital. Yeah. And then ancestors will come and visit them in the astral hospital until they have enough strength to leave the astral hospital and take up residence in an astral city.
So that astral city would be separate from the North Pole. It would just be, obviously, like you see those rainbows.
No. It'd kind of be like right at the equator line.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of in the North Pole. I mean, there are cities there's astral cities dotted all over the world. But they don't actually, astral cities don't actually need a location in space-time to exist. Okay? They can be a floating point in space-time. They just have an energy of separation because the soul itself, losing in the ICU, is having a very tough life review. They don't want to let go of the I am, and they're not going to let go of their individuality. And when you're in that hospital, the ancestors that come to visit you trigger you about other lifetimes. How did I know you? And then, oh yeah, we lived this other lifetime in England in 1700. We were sharecrop farmers, and the British came and took our children, and we died of plague the next year. Okay? And then you get triggered into remembering another life that has a finalized life review that puts you into this moment of no longer being the infinite I am. You're a finite, and you have to recognize the finite of that moment. And however long it takes is however long it takes to make the conversion.
So it's not like a lot of people think when you die you remember everything. You don't. You're still in that state of shock, and it takes you a while to recover to start remembering more and more. Correct. And you need help from, obviously, your team.
And then there are some that the shock of remembering is what stops them from remembering more. They force themselves to remember too much.
Okay.
I'm going to switch devices.
Okay.
So I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking, Dale, about those who, could have died. Well, the many who died in war and in deep trauma, and were blown up in war. I wonder how that works. Whether they can repatriate parts of themselves in the astral before they move on.
What was the full question?
So people, who get blown up in war, so that actually body gets split up. So does all those parts sort of them just repatriate? Because does the soul get sort of separated as well? That splits off.
So death again is been preordained. You when you plan a birth date, there's a death date. Yes, death dates can move, but there is a permanent death date. One where you're not going to come out. That type of death is what's needed for the I am to go through their journey of not being an I am no more. So being blown up into 1,000 parts and slowly have to reassemble yourself to realize that you're not an I am anymore, then that's what you're going to go through. because the death represents the totality of all the experiences, acknowledged and unacknowledged, and what it takes to resolve the unacknowledged and acknowledged through being a singularity again, who's not an agenda-based being anymore, who can put themselves back together.
Because when you get these writings, my grandmother had loads and loads of communication from the other side, and a lot of them were in the First World War when they were blown apart, and they were flying in a plane. The plane got shot down, and they still thought they were flying in the plane. But one thing they sort of said was they were taken to, I think they called them the Golden Fields. They were taken somewhere and they were nursed, and it took them a long time to realize that they weren't actually back on Earth.
Right, that's the ancestral hospital, the astral hospital
that you're talking about. Yeah. Do
we want to take some call-ins?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Are we going to put the link in the chat?
Yes.
Please
so, guys, if you'd like to come and ask Andrew or one of ourselves a question and come on, the link will be in the chat for you to enter the Restream Studio. We recommend coming on Google Chrome as well. So we'll just pop that into the chat if you want to come on and ask a question. There we go. So we just got this question for now while people start seeing that. So how do we decide when and where to incarnate? Do we see different challenges that happen in certain times and places?
So that's the fetus in the womb that chooses that. And the soul, it chooses when to insert something in a linear time that will be challenging and expansive for the individual who must experience that time. There's your answer.
So we've got our first person who's just come in. So we're going to get Greg on. Hello, Greg.
Are you there, Greg?
Hello, are you there?
Oh.
So we're going to get Lillian on instead. He's gone out. Hello, Lillian.
Hello.
How you doing? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Totnes in London. Not London. What am I saying? Totnes.
Hi, Lillian.
Hi.
It's Lillian Rom, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Hi, lovely.
I don't know the camera. Should I take the camera off? Would you prefer?
It doesn't matter.
See you.
Huh?
We can't see you. See your room. Maybe you've got the camera the wrong way around.
Yeah. How do I do that? Oh, I don't know how to change that.
Are you on a phone?
Yes.
There should be a little like circle, not completely joined up, that you press, and it will change the direction of the camera.
Jolie, do you know how to do that?
It's on the front of the phone somewhere.
Okay.
Wait,
what's going on with you, ma?
Sorry.
Do you want to just take the camera off for now?
Yeah, I'm going to take it off. That's fine.
Yeah, just take it off.
Sorry about that. Okay, take it off. There you go. Yeah, very interesting conversation. I've had a lot of my relatives passed, and one of which is my mother, who died when I was 4. And yeah, it just feels I don't know how I can connect with, that world so easily. I've been listening to you for quite a long time, as you probably know, but find it difficult to start those conversations. And my question was, is that because
Because you're not ready.
Don't ask the question.
No, you're not ready.
I'm not ready. Okay.
Or you are ready and you are telling yourself you're not ready.
Maybe that's also true. Yeah. Yeah.
And all of it could be going on at once, which still means you're not ready. That means there's more inner work to be done. There's more mourning to be done. There's more self-mastery to be done.
Yes, I suppose so. Yeah. Yeah, that's. I had an incident after, it was about a year after my brother had died, and I'd set up a little shrine for him and sang a song to him while I, was commemorating, and my children were there as well, and we all sang together. And the light above the table where we'd made the little shrine, and we'd put cake and candles and everything, and the light actually started to sing along to the rhythm of the happy birthday song that we were singing.
And that was he was there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And he would come back to me every time we would come into the kitchen. Many times we would come into the kitchen and we'd switch the light on, and we would be, just chatting away, telling each other about the day, and then the light would chime in and say hello. It was almost as though he was greeting us, and yeah, that felt really beautiful. So I would communicate in that way to the light. But we have now been put out of that house, and the light doesn't do it anymore. Obviously, that's gone. But yeah, I would love to reconnect, and I don't quite know how. At the moment, we've been shifted all over the place, which is our journey, and I'm just packing up my stuff to leave another place that we've just been for 6 weeks, and it seems a very transient time. And we've just been to visit a place that we're going to go and stay in for 2 weeks. And I went with is it all right if I share this, Jolie? This is my daughter. We took, my daughter's 17, and we went to see the place that we're going to stay in. And she wasn't keen on the energy. She didn't feel good about it. She said the house is fine, but she's not happy about the energy. So my question is, how do I communicate with the spirit of that house, whoever may be there? You don't.
First thing first, you're not ready. You're not ready to do that.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Okay, you're in a transient state. You're in a transient state with no grounding. And yes, you may have practiced in the past, but you haven't maintained your practice enough to have any kind of significant breakthroughs. So what you're going to have to do is learn from the basics, get to the home, and do a clearing ritual on the home, a basic one, not an invasive one. If you walk in there and start being large and in charge and spreading your energy everywhere just because you're going to be there 2 weeks, they are not going to respond well.
No, of course.
Okay?
No, I get it. Yeah.
So do basic. I'm here for 2 weeks. Can we get along? Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much it.
Andrew, would an offering to the land be of use?
I think in her state it would still be too much. Okay?
Yeah.
She hasn't been stable for a while. And that's the challenge with the stability of a home.
Yeah.
You don't have the home strength to draw on. That's why you got to find a home right away. And that means you got to figure out how to get off the cycle of place to place to place.
I know. And now after the 2 weeks, we've been offered to stay in a friend's house, but it's not our home. They're going away, traveling for 4 months, and they've offered us to stay there, but it's still their house and it's still their home.
But that means both of you got to get jobs and work your ass off, so when the time is done, you can go get a home. That's what it means. Yeah. And anything less than both of you working double jobs, double shifts, is not going to break you of that cycle.
Yeah. Well, the reality is that I actually do have some money, because all my relatives have passed, and I have been left some money. So I have been looking for a home. I've spent the last 6 months really looking, but for some reason I'm not actually breaking through that. There is a cycle there that blocks me from actually
I have to call bullshit on you. I have to call bullshit on you. And when I do that, it's because I'm
That's
hearing
fair enough. You can roast
you
me.
have money and you have chosen to use other people's houses and be unstable. You could have found a temporary rental, etc., etc. You didn't have to sign a 4-year lease. You didn't have to buy a house. You just needed to find a rental to be stable.
Well, I am renting. I'm not begging a lodging. I'm renting from the people where I'm going to stay.
Yeah, but you're not stable.
No, that's true.
Yeah, you're not
All our stuff
stable.
is in storage.
I didn't
And
call
this
you
is a cycle that keeps coming
but
back
you
on me.
have money, right? Have money.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
chose not to use it and chose instability. That means you have something in your reality that is helping you choose instability. It's not a ghost. That's a part of you. A part of you that has to go and has to look at their daughter and go, we need a stable house to live in. We need to activate this money and go and get a rental. And it's not about the neighborhood. It's about us being stable.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So why can't you get a long-term rent, Lillian? Why can't you get a long-term rent?
I have been in a long-term rent for about 5 years, and the property is being sold now. So my intention was to buy a property, but I've kind of run out of time because we had to leave the property very quickly. We had to leave in May, and I've been looking at properties to buy. But now to go into a long-term rental means that if I do find a place to buy, I'd then be doing double. And it's quite difficult to find short-term.
That's total self-created bullshit again. That's total self-created bullshit again. And I got to call this on you because you've created a story. You've created a story you can't get out of.
Yeah.
There's quite a few short-term rentals as well, like, you know, short-term leases and stuff out there. Like 6 months, 12 months.
You just tell the person, I need a 6-month lease because I'm trying to buy a house.
I have, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 So maybe don't go with this then, or try and get out of it as quickly as I can.
If you go on to
you get into a stable home as fast as possible.
So go on to rightmove.com and just go into the filter section when you're looking for a rental and just put 6 months as one of the filters, and you'll find a list of all of these 6-month properties. Rightmove.com.
Okay. Yeah,
that's a UK-based one, so you have to use it.
Yeah, I use it. I use it nearly daily. Yeah, it's quite hard to find places in Totnes, but maybe that's also a limitation.
Then move away from Totnes.
Why are you limited to Totnes?
I guess that's, well, I'm working here and I've also got community here. But there is a dilemma because both my children, my son and my 19-year-old son and my daughter prefer to be in London, but I am not keen to go back to London. I like being in nature and by the sea.
You chose instability versus the choice of the other children. I'm calling bullshit.
Well,
no, I don't know.
Yeah, but we had a stable home for 5 years.
Doesn't matter. You don't have one now. The only reason I'm being tough on you is because you need to get through this tomorrow. You need to wake up tomorrow and realize the error of your ways and set on a path to fixing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? I'm going to be blunt. You're on a pathway of self-destruction if you don't get in a house fast. You're going to lose your relationship with your children because you're choosing instability. And this is a will-powered, free-will choice of instability because you have the money. But you don't want to be inconvenienced. Let's be brutal honest.
Yeah.
Okay? That's vanity, darling. That's vanity right there. It's a vanity teaching for you.
Okay.
Don't take me as attacking you. Take this as an expansion.
Yeah, I do see that. My son said the same thing to me. He said, "Mum, we could just rent somewhere where we could all be," because he's now thinking of going back to London.
Because he's too unstable. Being too unstable, being with.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, darling, we got to move on to the next caller. Thanks for calling in.
Sorry, it's very unrelated.
Lillian.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Lillian.
Truly listen to what I'm saying and go back and listen to the show again and again and again and again until you wake up tomorrow and solidify, I can't be unstable anymore. And don't let vanity rule you anymore. Interesting teaching, guys.
So next,
what have the ancestors been telling her over and over and over again? And her own son telling her over and over again.
Yeah, the messages come in so many forms, don't they?
Yeah.
And I guess without that stability, you can't get in regular daily practice, can you? That means something somewhere on some land that you're getting connected to.
Exactly. You don't have the grounding and roots of it.
Mm.
Okay.
So we've got next, we have Greg again to see if his voice is here this time. Hey, Greg.
Okay.
Hey, Greg.
Thank you for having me on. Huh?
Where are you calling from?
Los Angeles.
Welcome to the show.
So Andrew, I was the one asking you about that bad ancestor stuff. I genuinely feel like I've done my best to fight this thing. You know how when you push against an entity, like there's a form of leverage that you're pushing back, but I feel like it's kind of gotten into the crevices and I don't really have leverage to push against it anymore.
You don't need leverage to push against it.
Well, so can you explain that?
You have willpower. That's your leverage. You have leverage all the time. It has somehow convinced you don't have an ability to beat it.
Yeah.
I mean,
did you call in last week?
I did.
Yeah. And
I just I really need to ask Andrew about this because I feel like, do you think I need to have a session with you to remove it, at least to give me some time?
Listen, it's already convinced you don't have power. No one else can remove it. If they do, it'll be gone for 2 or 3 weeks until you fall back into a state of depression or anything, and it'll come right back.
Well, that's what happened when I was in a session with you. It went, and I knew that I got rid of it, but I knew the fucker would come back, and it did. And there you go.
So here's what I don't understand is when I was fighting it, like back when I was much more successful at healing, there was moments where it would pop out and immediately come back in, but I don't know if I have the awareness to actually fight this thing.
Yes, you do. It has once again convinced you you're a moron.
Okay.
Like the other caller, I'm only being brutally honest in a form that you could actually hear, so it stings a little bit. It thinks you're a moron.
Yeah.
Okay. Both Dale has told you many ways. Right now, you're just not effectively fighting it. You're a little 2-year-old temper tantruming towards it. You're not an adult that can hurt it.
Do I just use the same methods I've always used, but with more willpower, or I don't understand.
Those methods don't seem to work, do they?
No, I mean, technically they worked, but then it just came back. I don't understand.
Once it left, you brought it back by remaining low frequency and not growing. You thought you had a lull in the storm, and you were free, and you were walking around with the light of heaven in your hair. Okay, and it came back because you didn't truly change yourself. You didn't grow from it. If you had grown from it, it wouldn't come back. If you had maintained the self-mastery journey,
it wouldn't have the space within you to come back in, Greg. When you're doing all the work and pulling all your soul and your sovereignty back into your body, that's what's empowering you, all that life force. But it's empowering you. It wouldn't have room to come back in if you were doing all the work.
But it's got you fooled. Fooled here. It leaves and comes back at its will because it already knows your habit pattern. You will let down, you will become lazy, you will become depressed, and you will lower your frequency until the point it can come back in. And it's just waiting for that. Part of getting rid of an entity is once it's gone, the real work begins. The real work begins. And that's the hard work of maintaining yourself to be entity free without paranoia ruling your life. That's why the daily practice, an affirmative, powerful daily practice, is so vital to deal with things like this.
Andrew, would also like a routine change and using many different practices be good as well? So you're sort of...
Sure, but he's burnt out.
Okay.
He's burnt out from fighting. But the thing is, he's not really burnt out. He can talk to us. He's not a blithering idiot on the side of the street, homeless with shit in his hair, is he?
Well, I mean, in many ways, I keep growing. I just develop wisdom, and I continue to grow, and I have my moments of my awareness is expanding. It's just the entity issue is stagnant. It's a separate.
Because
do you have an actual?
It has a hook in you that makes you within when it comes to the entity subject, you revert to being a moron to it.
So then I mean,
actually
go ahead, Dale.
Do you actually have a regular practice which you've stuck to? Maybe like 6 days a week, day off, 6 day a week, day off. Have you actually stuck to it, or have you? I can tell you've started it, stopped for a while, given up, started it a little bit, stopped for a while, given up. What's it like?
No, so there was a period where I went a little too far on the healing, and I had to take a break, like I had to.
Which is the mistake you made.
Well, you told me to take a break.
Sure, but you did too much. Okay? You did too much.
Well, here's the thing.
Slow down. I'm battling the entity at the same time of trying to get you from saying more things to add and confuse the subject matter for yourself.
Okay.
Hear me clearly. It thinks you are a moron. You have to take that inside and go, I'm not a moron. Okay? I'm not a moron. I have a fully intelligent brain, and I'm going to use every aspect of against you. This is an attrition game. And the word attrition, it's a non-stop forever battle until such a time it's not an attrition battle anymore, and you've won by raising your frequency to a permanent level. You had been fighting and fighting and fighting as the 2-year-old for so long you burnt out. You've got to fight as the adult. Don't fight as the 2-year-old anymore. Okay? The break that was necessary was so that you could recharge some energy and go back to doing your natural work. But somehow the break inside you lowered your frequency, and you didn't recognize it.
Well, maintaining a high frequency has always been a challenge. Even after like my most successful healing experiences, right at the peak, I would start to like immediately drop back.
Hold on. Oh, let's be brutally honest. It's because you have a depressive side to you that you can't beat.
Well, so when I was doing my healing, I discovered that it was 2 points of suffering, 2 points of misery. I healed one of them, but the other one, my mind was not able to encapsulate.
Because your mind can't heal it. It's your heart that heals it.
Well, the heart couldn't either. It was a piece of glass in my heart.
No. The heart can heal everything. It's convinced you once again you can't do something. It has inserted wisdom into you that is false wisdom, which keeps you making it think you're a moron.
So are you saying I should go back to my original practice of just laying in stillness and allowing the heart to burn?
No. That's its frequency putting into you again. You're going to have to look at all the different educational wisdom, throw it all out, and start with a brand new plan that it can't predict. That's starting with heart-based awareness, heart filling the body with joy, happiness, and love, something that is toxic to it.
Andrew, is the entity creating some of the depression?
Yes, absolutely it is. It's feeding off of it.
I don't really feel depressed anymore, to be honest.
But you are. I hear it in your voice, and I hear it in the statements that you're making to me. And it's blatantly obvious to everyone else that's listening. You have a give it up energy in your voice.
Well, that's for
depressive
sure.
right there. If you're already at the give it up stage, you're already in full states of depression. Stop denying that. Accept it. I'm depressed. Okay? When you're depressed, how do you stop depression? You turn on the love for the self. And you make that the most intensive form of healing for you. Love for the self, love for the body, love for the hair, the eyebrows, the teeth, the fingers, the tail, all aspects of yourself. Flood yourself with love until it cannot be there anymore. That's your daily practice. As I said, throw out the other techniques because it's imprinted into you failures already within those techniques.
Well, it's a bit ironic. They were all successful, but it just came back. So it was like a failure and a success.
No, it was just a way for you to build up more energy so it could feed off of you again. Okay? It gave you the success because it needed you to fatten up some more. So it could drain you again. Fatten you up, drain you again. Fatten you up, drain you again. That's its cycle.
That makes a lot of sense because every time I've healed, it's gotten deeper.
Sure. Because you haven't gone at the core, loving yourself. Your depression was you lost the ability to love yourself. And the traumas that were going on in your life at that time. Didn't feel love from the world, didn't feel love for yourself, entered the state of depression, the entity walks in.
So self-love is my primary practice now?
Yeah. Extreme self-love. Extreme self-love with as much physical exercise as you can get.
So you think
listen, you got to run until your blood boils with love, and then you got to run some more. And when you fall down and feel that ecstatic love from running from love, truly exercise the body with love, 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 love. I cannot even begin to describe how you have to flood it with love.
So you're literally talking about exercise.
As if the gates of heaven come into your crown chakra and flood you with love through physical exercise.
I mean, I can probably swim. I don't know if I would run, but I would swim a lot. And then what do you think about weightlifting?
Any exercise that you can do.
Okay.
As long as you're able to bring that love frequency, open up the heart, get out of the brain.
Okay.
I mean, every time you pump those weights, I love myself, I love my muscles, I love my spine, I love my back. And those are the affirmations that you should be using. I do this for love of myself. I do this for the love of my potential future. I do this for the love of now. To expand my ability to love myself. With every pump of the weight and every breaststroke I take, it's just for love for myself, to change the fundamental of who I am, to feel love at every level.
Okay. I mean, that's doable. I can do that. Seems simple action taking.
It's not simple. It's heart-based action, and where your brain can't be a part of it.
Okay.
You're going to have to tell your brain to shut the fuck up. Okay? Quite literally. Silence from the brain. Let the heart speak. Silence from the brain. Let the heart speak. Silence from the brain. Let the heart speak.
And then that exercise is something I'll have to do the rest of my life to make sure.
No. That's your extremes. At your extremes, once you get rid of the entity and it doesn't come back because you go back to the brain and reducing yourself below your frequency, there's another way to do an extensive journey of love, which will probably be a medicine journey for you. Okay, and if you don't want to do a medicine journey, you're going to have to pick up the shamanic path and do some heavy-duty ceremonial work as part of your ongoing ability to love yourself. There is where you can re-engage the brain, so the brain and the heart are in full agreement, and no longer does the brain see itself independent of the rest of the body. Because that's what's created the frequency in you. Your brain is independent of the heart, which is never meant to be that way.
Well, there was a point in time where I healed the resonant frequency that separated my mind and my heart. And what I could feel was this massive crater in my heart, but I didn't know what to do with it. And then after a day, the resonant frequency started to come back.
Okay, so then that was not a real experience if it didn't change you. Because you don't have to do anything with it. You just have to feel it in there. That was its point of coming to you.
Yeah, that's all I did.
Frame of reference. But your brain wanted to do something with it instead of just letting it be the frame of reference of growth.
Yeah, I mean, I think it mainly was a frame of reference of growth. But eventually the resonant frequency came again.
Because you chose to forget it. It's still there now. If you really, really try, you can get to it.
Through exercise?
Anything that's going to create an endorphin release.
Okay. All right, that's doable.
Okay. Give us a call in a couple of weeks. Tell us how it's going.
Yeah, for sure. I will.
All right, brother. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Great.
Thank you. Can I just, before we bring somebody else on, so Laura Hammond Davis in the chat is talking about her sciatic nerve pain. She'd like to love it away. And then she said, okay, more exercise after listening to Greg. But I think actually, Laura, what would really benefit you is a cranial sacral therapy
Yes.
session.
Cranial sacral, Ralphing, anything that gets into the deep tissue and scar tissue release.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
Sorry, Laura.
It's one of those things. It's not like love and light will it's going to get rid of it. So it's great to love yourself and everything else and love your nervous system and so on and do all the work that Andrew said with your heart. But you also have to look at everything on every level. So you have to look at it on the physical level as well. And if you've got pain, as Andrew says, you shouldn't be living in pain. The first thing to do is to get rid of the pain. So go and have any of those suggestions that we've just said, Laura.
I got rid. So I had exactly the same scenario. Maybe 4 years ago. I went to see a deep tissue specialist. It took me 6 sessions, and my sciatic pain completely went. So deep tissue work, my recommendation for that.
Ralphing too.
Yeah. So should we get another caller in, guys?
Sure.
So Jesse.
Hello.
Hey, Jesse, where are you calling from?
Hey guys, California.
Welcome to the show. What's going on with you today?
Hey, yeah, I feel I could relate to this last caller. Definitely amping up the self-love and radical acceptance, and had a call with you guys a while back, and you gave me a nice good roast. I've been wearing my big girl pants as much as I can. Trying to keep that positive out of the doom and gloom mindset, trying to shut off the brain and get into the heart, to process. But yeah, I was loving the show. I'm enjoying some nature time right now. There was a lot being said around, fetus in the womb, and it's really present for me. It's really on my mind because I'm newly pregnant. And I just have a lot of curiosity about, how to really go about this in a nurturing way and accept this journey and be the best I can.
Sing to the baby.
Yeah. What was that?
Sing to your baby.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm here.
Yeah, you immediately went to emotional response.
Because I've been doing light language. I've been singing light language.
Sing, darling, sing.
Okay.
Okay.
I can do that.
So many ways to express love through singing, especially when you're pregnant. The waters in your womb are a great amplification of frequency and vibration. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I've been going through like a sore throat for a couple weeks and been gaining my vocals back, and I've been feeling like that void where I'm singing. I used to sing a lot more, so I definitely feel that.
You need to turn the next month. Your next month needs to be a musical. Your whole living life is a musical.
I can make that happen. I just did a piano performance today in my piano class, and I'm leveling up little by little. I was thinking of
morning, moon, noon, and night. You are in a living musical.
Okay.
Okay, and embrace it as the fun that it can be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely need to lighten things up in that musical sense. Things have been dark and heavy and dense and scary, very scary.
You need to have your woman solo moment where you sing your heart. Okay? And the lights are shining on you. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You're a little mermaid princess here. Okay?
I kind of oh, that's great, because I've been imagining, I don't know, that it's a girl, and I've been, you know, planning ahead for my baby shower, and it's completely mermaid themed, and I'm a mermaid heart, and I'm imagining my little mermaid, you know, guppy.
Mm-hmm.
We need to talk to the whales as well then.
Yeah,
sing your song with the whale song.
Okay. Yeah.
So, Jessie, have you got any more questions? Because I believe you've been on quite a few times, just so we can get to someone else.
Totally. I thought maybe you would just skip me, but I threw myself on there just in case. But I thought maybe it would be interesting to discuss, you know, to share a mystical experience or so that I've had in the past regarding, I don't know if it was ancestors or, you know, spirit guides, but I could save it for another time too. I just was curious about that, you know, thought it'd be interesting to share. It's up to you guys.
Let's save it for another time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Thanks for calling in, Jessie.
Thanks for calling in.
Jessie.
All right, you guys.
So we'll next get Kathleen.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, where are you calling from?
I'm in Vilcabamba, Ecuador.
Vilcabamba, Ecuador. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. I can't believe you got me. Yeah. I'm kind of in gringo retirement land here.
Right. So what did you want to talk about today?
Yeah, well, I've been healing cancer for about 5 years now, holistically. I was a former nurse, and now I'm a shamanic practitioner. But I recently had a secondary growth in the cancer. I see it's spreading, and I'm just kind of need some advice as I should just relax and kind of live it out here in Vilcabamba, or continue my traveling that I've been doing, going to sacred sites and doing ceremonies.
Do you know what kind of cancer it is?
Yeah, it's breast cancer. I had a lump removal. That's it. I've been doing otherwise just change of life stuff, you know. But now it's coming through the skin. It's gonna get tough.
How big is it?
Building. Right now it's just like the whole incisional area, probably 4 inches, maybe. It's pretty big.
You need to go to a hospital anyway.
I have to go to the hospital, but I don't go to hospitals.
Well, then you're gonna die. Then you're gonna die.
Yeah, I know. So you think I should just live it out? I already have my hospice planned out here.
No. It's not what I said. I said you need to go to the hospital.
Yeah, but I know I'm a nurse.
I have to be tough with you here.
I know that's the recommendation.
You should know
but
better.
There's nothing you can do for it. It's secondary skin. There's no cure. There's just, yes, I'll do dressing changes and those sort of things, but there's no medical cure. So I would just be doing things at the hospital.
I'm going to give up on living and going to live.
I don't know. I feel great. I mean, I feel like I can continue traveling.
You don't feel great. I'm reading your soul right now. You are not
really?
Fine. You are not fine. You're living a delusion. I'm sorry to say this to you. You're living.
I want to hear. That's why I called. I want the truth.
Go to a hospital. You need to leave the travel, return to the States where there's actually cancer treatments, and you need to go to cancer treatment. You can start some of the alternative therapies, but it's too damn big already. You need to save your life, not give up on living it.
Yeah, but I don't do chemotherapy or anything like that. So I guess that I know a lot about it.
This is the delusion speaking. This is the delusion speaking.
Right. But I was a nurse
the real you.
for 40 years.
Shut up. I want to talk to the real you, not the delusion. The real you has to come forward. I'm not talking to the delusion anymore. The real you, the one that's really, really, really present all the time, not this delusion person right now. You're choosing to kill yourself. Real person.
Yeah, probably.
You're choosing to kill yourself.
I really am. You're right.
Why?
Right. Because I'm just done. I've done so much. I feel I'm estranged. My daughters treat me terribly. I was with a narcissist for 20 years, and now he's turned my own girls against me. And it's just very sad.
Well, then it's time to save your life and change all those frequencies. My advice to you is to no longer live this delusion, immediately end all of your trips, return to the United States, and the first thing you do when you get off that airplane is you go right to an emergency room. I have nothing else to say because I'm not going to talk to the delusion who wants to kill us.
Thank you very much for your advice, but I sure appreciate it. I totally don't agree, but thank you anyway.
You hear these words in your dream world.
It's my demonic delusion to be done with this life.
Your mission.
So I just thought, my mission isn't done. What is more of my mission other than doing what I've been doing, which is awakening people?
You're not awakening people. You're showing them how to die right now.
Well, they don't know this. This is brand new, this secondary. I told them, I holistically, we're working on myself for 5 years, and it's been very effective. So it's not in my body. It's a skin problem. It's localized.
I am reading you right now, and I am telling you, you are going to die if you don't take care of this pretty soon. But that's what you want. Okay?
Right. Like I said, I've already talked to hospice. They have a beautiful program here that they allow you to die in, peace and no hospital. And it's all set up, really beautiful people. There's a lot of us doing that now.
Total delusion.
But why continue living in misery?
You want to No, shut up. If you want to talk to me, you're the authentic you and not the delusional person.
I thought I understood. I mean, maybe this is the authentic me. That I feel like I have a shamanic side now that is ruling it and wants me not to do, medical treatment. I feel like it's too much suffering. When I'd rather,
Sorry, that's the delusion speaking again. I'm not talking to the delusion anymore. All right, darling, I wish you the best. My advice to you is to go to a hospital immediately. But I'm not going to put myself through your delusion and your ability to defend yourself that you don't want to live no more. And I'm sorry for everyone here, but I have to have a cutoff point where I won't let the delusion live anymore. And that's probably the only way that caller will even have one semblance of one chance of living. Dale, Laura, what do you think here?
She just needs to go to America, go to an emergency place and get sorted out. Because, like you said, she's in full delusional denial and she's going to die.
She should have gone before.
She should have gone 8 months ago.
Yeah, she should have gone way before, and she's just kidding herself or whatever it is that's running her at the moment. All this thing of visiting sacred sites and doing the great work. Well, you're not, because you're not giving a very good example to other people at all.
And this is an example where sometimes it's not about spirituality. It's just about being three-dimensional, smart about things.
Common sense.
Listen, she denied her family the ability to have their last chance with her while she was going through any form of recovery. Okay? That's why I had to hang up. Okay?
And does the ego also use the delusion, Andrew?
Delusion. There's a difference between ego and delusion. The ego does not want to die.
Okay.
The ego doesn't want to die. This is the delusion she's attached herself to. And darling, if you're still listening, go to a hospital immediately. You need to get out of this garbage mindset of the delusion, get on a plane, return to the United States immediately. And the second you get off a plane, you go to an ER. That's what I'm telling you right now. You could have started all form of alternative therapies 8 months ago, 9 months ago, but you egotistically and delusionally chose, I'm going to die. That's suicide. And that's a fucking suicide demon in you. You're not giving anybody in your family a chance to have healing with you. You ran away from them. I'm sorry, I'm angry at that.
No, I don't remember any time her authentic self came through, though, because it was just...
Well, every time Andrew spoke, she spoke. Like, literally, as soon as he spoke, she just started speaking. Every time he started speaking.
I had to tell her, shut up. Like, shut up. No. Well, guys that are listening, now you know the challenges of what some of these private calls are like. How would you have handled it? Anybody in the chat room right now? How would you have handled it? Peggy, Sean, Paulina? Hey, come on, guys. How would you have handled it?
Yeah, I agree. But with big picture, you can tell she's delusional from the mumbling.
Okay.
Yeah. She's completely taken over.
Well, there's something else to the mumbling and the slurring of the speech, but I'm not going to say what that is. So point.
Okay.
Yeah, Sean, her volume was loud.
Yeah.
Paulina, I hope I would have been able to do what you did. You have no idea the strength of what it took to fight the demon, the shit that was in her delusional side. And it is killing her. Okay? Anybody in the future that's here a week or a month or a year from now, okay, allopathic medicine has a place in this world. It absolutely does. There's a reason there's alternative therapies to allopathic, so you don't have to do it. She didn't even choose the alternatives. She didn't do Rick Simpson. She didn't do any of the other things that she could have done to stave this off. Okay? Cancer is about rage and anger. It's about the rage and anger in her. She told a little bit of her story. Everybody turned against her. Rage and anger there. You want to get rid of cancer, you get rid of your rage and anger. Thanks, Peggy. Would have handled it the same way. Andrew, I used to work back up at a psych hospital, and years ago had a similar phone call. Got to say, I'm a bit triggered right now. So am I. I don't want her to die. I don't want my advice for her to delusionally use herself to confirm death.
Should we wrap it up now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how can people get a hold of you for a session, Laura?
Laura twofeathers@gmail.com with the number 2. And also combined healing, there's a few slots left for York. Both David Ellis and Andrew are coming over. And of course, our lovely Amy Kruzic as well will be around. So that is there's 2 weeks in York from the 15th basically to the 27th that we will be there, and some slots at the end of the first week and in the second week too. So please email me, or if you'd like a session to go and meet your ancestors around the ancestral fire, just email me there. Thanks very much. Great show, guys. Thank you.
And if anybody would like any psychic surgery sessions, soul retrieval sessions, head over to daletobin.com where the list and the menu is there. Thank you. Andrew?
You can go, you know who I am. You go to my website, andrewbartzis.com. You can sign up for sessions. We have our basics products, our light language products, our spinal healing products. Go take a look at what's out there, guys. We'll see you tomorrow for the Friday night game stream.
Thanks, everybody who came in.
Thanks,
Lovely.
guys.
And thanks, everyone watching. Thank you.